Hi, my goodness.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Ay, ay, ay.
What?
Grace, are you good to go? Sally, are you good to go? Everybody good to go? Okay. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call to order this March 19th, 2024 meeting. Would you please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to report on our last executive session. We discussed matters of real estate and litigation. No action was taken. At this time, we would like to go into our electric substation financing with Eckert Siemens.
Okay, so we have bond counsel Ryan Menser.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Menser. I'm with Eckert Siemens. I've been working on the substation financing project for the last year with John Cox. I just have a brief update. Now that we know that bids are going to be open sometime in May, it's pushed back our timing a little bit for this 2024 bond issuance. But the good news is that we do not need to do another debt ordinance. The ordinance that we passed last year had enough leeway in it to cover the bonds for this year as well. So what we will need is a couple certifications signed by the board, but there will be no more formal action required. So I believe the new timeline now is for PFM to come to your May 21st meeting and present again, show you some numbers, get authorization to go ahead and sell bonds again, and then you'll lock in rates in June. And that will be when you'll have the final debt service payments known for the second half of the substation financing. And we'll bring the documents that we need the council to sign to the May 21st meeting so then we can file everything as soon as the bonds are sold in June. If anybody has any questions about that process, I'd be happy to answer them now.
Any questions? No, thank you.
All right.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thanks
Have a good
for
night.
coming. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Public comment on agenda items.
Hi, Robert Follinger, 138 Ann Street. I'd like to say something about the signs if it's permitted. I see it would probably come under highway anyway for their report. No problem?
Is it in your report? Signs in your report for an update? Could you save this for general public comment at the end of the meeting, please? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, President, Council, nice to see you. Thank you for allowing us to come here and talk. We need to talk.
Could you please state your name and address for the
David
record?
Scully, 11 Mill Street. I and these two other residents of 11 Mill Street would like to address the council about a very, very, very serious sound problem. I don't know if this is the appropriate time. Is there another time that you said is for public comment?
Yeah, at the end of the meeting, we have general public comment.
So that's when I should talk about?
Yes, this is reserved for anything that's on the agenda. Is there any public comment on agenda items? Seeing no public comment on agenda items, agenda item number 1.
This is to approve meeting minutes. Motion to approve council meeting minutes for the March 5th, 2024 meeting as submitted.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilor Reed, second by Councilor Lister. Any questions or comments on the minutes? All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Agenda item number 2.
This is a motion to approve payment of bills as shown on the accounts payable list dated March 14th, 2024 for the period of March 1st, 2024 through March 14th, 2024, and to ratify approval of such bills already paid and to authorize the appropriate officials to take required actions to make said payments.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Counselor Reed, second by Counselor Miller. Any questions or comments on the bills? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 3.
This is the motion to authorize the borough manager to sign the amendment to the 2024 Municipal Services Agreement between the Humane Society and the Borough of Middletown.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Counselor Lister, second by Counselor Reed. Any questions or comments? Ms. Lloyd?
Could you summarize what the changes for the people that are here?
I was gonna say, I probably could. So it's
Yeah.
primarily about the pit bull charging.
Yeah.
So there was a much higher price for pit bulls than for non-pit bulls.
Yeah.
At one point, they were gonna not do pit bulls and they were doing for a higher price. It's kind of just a big price adjustment in my mind because they've now said we had this high price for pit bulls, this price for non-pit bulls, and we're now repricing it so they're all the same, but I think there's a lot higher number of non-pit bulls. So it is a higher, I think, overall price per year, but it's kind of the only game in town. All the other municipalities are going through the same amendment right now.
Are they no kill now?
That I don't know. I don't remember if they're, I don't remember that. It could be.
Okay.
I just don't remember.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 4.
This is a motion to accept the proposed 2024-2028 5-year CapEx plan dated March 1st, 2024, as provided by the Middletown Water Joint Venture, subject to specific reservations and rejections noted in our letter response dated March 19th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Vice President Willenbecker, second by Counselor Lister. Any questions or comments? Counselor Lloyd?
I'm sorry. I feel like it's a little confusing because we're not approving their CapEx.
We're approving it
Proposed.
with reservations, which are noted in the letter.
Does anybody have any questions or clarification on the
That's what Ken had put on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5.
This is a motion to approve the retainer agreement R0000516.0513 with HRG in the amount of $35,095 for engineering, bidding, and construction administration of the Overdeer Park Improvement Project.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Counselor Reed, second by Counselor Lister. Any questions or comments on the engineering? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 6.
This is a motion to advertise the meeting with Royalton Borough on April 18th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in the MCSO to discuss renewal of the intermunicipal fire service agreement.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Counselor Lister, second by Counselor Reed. Any questions or comments on the upcoming meeting? Counselor Lloyd?
After this is advertised, do we have to vote on it again? Or this just gets it through, right? So could you make sure it's posted for publicly meetings, like on Facebook and stuff? And yeah, could we put it on the electric bills if there's a cycle that comes out before the meeting? Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
It's the 8th, right?
18th,
18th. Oh, I thought
6:30. 18th at 6:30.
I thought it was the 8th.
Er,
I have the 8th also.
I'm sorry.
Probably only
6:30.
certain cycles that we can
What's
get on
the
the
18th?
electric bill, not all.
Oh,
Or 8th.
okay.
I'm sorry. Is it the 8th?
Yeah, I know, and I know it's late.
I don't know why I heard 18th.
I said 8th, but that was the date.
I could have swore she said, I wrote it down.
So we need to.
I wrote it down as she was saying.
Great, thank you.
Did you?
Can we take a moment and clarify the date?
It's the 8th.
No,
That's
Oh, I'm sorry. April 8th.
8th, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys amend your motion to reflect for the 8th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose. Motion carries. Agenda item number 7.
Motion to adopt resolution 2024-11, approving the temporary extension of the Royalton Sewage Treatment Agreement until June 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Vice President Willenbecker, seconded by Councilor Lister. Any questions or comments? Councilor Reed?
Why aren't we going for a full agreement?
That's all the further they would agree to go so far. It's been extended.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. It's like since 2017.
Maybe we can have another joint meeting with them on the water agreement next.
Sure.
Let's get through one joint meeting at a time. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, Manager's Report.
So items 1 through 5 have already been taken care of under the meeting agenda. The next item is that the PA Emergency Management Service Code mandates that Dauphin County prepare and keep current an emergency operations plan. And every 2 years, the borough approves and adopts the Dauphin County Emergency Operations Plan by resolution. A new resolution is needed at this time. So what we'd like to do is add it to the next agenda.
Okay.
PSAB, Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs, is requesting a voting delegate and an alternate to be appointed for the purpose of electing the officers of the association and voting on proposed resolutions and policies. A voting delegate or an alternate must attend the PSAB conference. Councilor Reed is attending the conference this year, and therefore we recommend the borough manager be appointed as the delegate and Councilor Reed be approved as the alternate. And we'd like to add that to the next agenda as well. We received a letter from the Middletown Swim Club thanking us for our co-sponsorship. They received $10,000 through the gaming grant this year.
Excellent.
There's an item that was not originally on the report. It is an event request for VFW. And they're requesting approval to have a food truck for a membership drive on May 4th, 2024 from 1 to 3 p.m. The food trucks will be parked in the VFW parking lot. And I'm recommending that be added to the next agenda. And that is it for the manager's report at this time.
Thank you. Agenda item number 9, codes. Jason?
Good evening.
Evening.
As you see on the report here, we have 45 open violations. For the month of February, we had 12 rental complaints and 18 property complaints with other things that we've been doing on our own. There's interviews that are being conducted for the codes position, so we're hoping to have this filled in April. Just a follow up with the basketball hoops in the right of way. I reached out to 8 neighboring municipalities. 1 responded and said if there's a safety concern, the police address the issue. I know we were going back and forth with the basketball hoops and what goes in the right of way and looking at the old ordinances with permits being in place by the residents and approving all those things and distinguishing what exactly should go in the right of way. Every municipality does things a little differently.
So you asked 8 and 1 responded?
Yeah.
Who was the one that responded?
Mechanics.
So did you ask like Lois Wood-Air and Royalton and none of them responded?
None of them responded. So I don't know where we want to go with this. Our ordinance states that they shouldn't be in the right of way. So I recommend that we follow the ordinance.
Okay.
Number 5, we're continuing to work with the solicitor and our staff to finalize the various ordinances that we have. Just to give you an update on those, the fee schedule for 2024 is being looked at, the quick ticket for violations, lot consolidations, and short-term rentals being limited in the borough.
I'm sorry, so can you repeat that?
Short-term rentals being limited in the borough. I think you guys were sort of on a consensus of C1, C2, and we're still looking into that, and we'll have other municipalities from the solicitor that gives us some feedback with that.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Agenda item number 10.
Really, the points of interest are continual maintenance on the system that we've been doing this last month. So nothing special out there, no new installs, mainly pole replacements and working out at Woodland Hills. I do have, still have the action item for the HRG building expansion feasible study for you guys to discuss, if you wanted to discuss that.
President Redinger. This afternoon, Councilors Miller, Kliskevich, and I visited the electric building that is now currently shared with the police department, just to get a sense of the space needs of that department. During this time, as we said to Greg, we are thankful that you brought up a space need, but what that has done is alert us to space needs in other departments across the borough. So I wonder if we could talk about, instead of moving forward with just one department, talk to HRG about a longer term space assessment and plan for the borough, so that we are addressing the needs of public works and any other department, but those are clearly the two most important, who are currently in inadequate buildings. I'm not saying that you are running inadequate operations, but the building that we saw today, while it is the police department and new, the fact that electric has their inventory scattered across 4 places across the borough just is not efficient and is not good business. I took a look at a picture of Matt's house, and wow, that's all I have to say.
Oh, you mean?
I don't mean your home. I don't mean your home. I mean your
Oh, you lady is home too.
your public works highway shed.
Right.
Has cars in there that you have to move 3 of them to get one out. I just think it's time to think of a way to do better in terms of the operation of these 2 important departments. So we asked Greg if he would consider allowing us not to move ahead on just his department and sort of scope out to all of the department's needs over the next couple of years, not just what we see right now, but also maybe looking ahead of us a bit.
Yeah, we really need to do something with the highway department.
Yeah.
Because you can see out the building. So, and you don't have to open a window to look out. And you're.
Yeah, and it's kind of what we talked about today, you know, and we had, 7 years ago, we looked at like a complex, and it's, with Middletown, it's just tough. We're so landlocked. It's like, where do you go? That's not in a flood zone, you know, and we looked at the area beside there, and if you take the footprint of the electric, it doesn't fit in that footprint also, so you're not.
Would the reservoir be a viable There's 50 acres
Here's
out
what
there.
I'm recommending. Instead of us trying to solve the space plan issue here at this table, which I just think it would better serve us to have our engineers take an objective, kind of comprehensive look and bring ideas back to us to discuss. Um, when we talk to them and give them a scope of what to consider, we can put anything on their list of things to look at. But I'm not sure that we have the ability to figure that out right here amongst us right now.
How much was your study?
30,
34, 35.
Call it 35K and
Yeah.
call it even.
yeah. 34.5.
No, I like it. I think we need to take a broader look at globally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like we discussed today, when it comes down to it, it'll probably still end up being two separate needs. But they may, who knows? They may come up with a
Right.
one group solution. I don't know, but I still
So
think
is
you would
this
see
a phone call
two
that
separate
you
buildings.
two could make to HRG and sort of explain the need and
Absolutely.
see if they could just come with a proposal? We don't know the dollar amount. It might not fit into this year. Who knows? But and bring it back to us and have a next step at it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan. I like
Yeah.
the idea.
Anybody have any questions of my points of interest or anything else? Thank you.
There.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
Agenda item number 11.
You're wearing two hats. No.
I don't have any special items added. I did make notes of some new things about the tax collector audit report. We have resolved any issues that came up on the audit report, and the only one that's left is to actually open a new bank account. And it's for purposes for when tax collectors change. We don't have to move bank accounts. So that's the remaining one, and I'm working on that. The other new item is that the volunteer fire department was awarded a 2024 gaming grant. Kenny's going to get me a copy of the award letter. I believe the amount is $48,000. So with that funding and the funding that we have budgeted, we plan on making a double payment, which should leave about $65,000 left on bumper.
Nice.
Wow, that'd be great.
And the last item is that we met with PFM, and they do our pension in OPEB. And they did an overview for 2023 investments, and all plans performed well, and we had a positive growth.
Any questions for Sally? Thank you very much. Agenda item number 12, fire department. I don't believe there's any representatives with us here this evening. Does anybody have any thoughts they'd like to share?
You guys missed a great time Saturday night.
I heard, unfortunately, yeah.
It was great.
Excellent.
I would recommend they put up their little summary of the year. They do like a video every year with like their pro cam things or whatever they're called. Go cam. Well, you know what I mean.
GoPros.
Yeah, that. Thank you. And I think it was posted on their Facebook. I recommend watching it. It's really fascinating.
It is.
To see what they do.
No, yeah, we definitely would
Thank
be
you
lost
both
without
for
them.
attending and representing us.
You're welcome.
Yes. Agenda item number 13, highway department.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening, Matt.
Sorry, it was a 2-pager this month with a lot of attachments. There's a lot of information there. The first item, I did look at basketball court in Oak Hills and then further up on Spruce Street. Information was attached in there. I put my thoughts on there regarding the Oak Hills location as well. It is kind of the de facto small person playground, and I don't know that putting a basketball court right beside the de facto small person playground is going to
Right.
be a
Yeah.
wise idea there. This evening, I'd given all of you a copy of a picture. That is the basketball court. The first one, with my very poor rendering, is kind of the area that it would look like sitting in Oak Hills Park. Try to give you a little bit better idea on how that would look sitting there. It's by no means completely accurate, but it's a good visual.
So you think the park sitting at the other location wouldn't look like this?
At Spruce Street,
Yes.
a half court only fits there, and it's shoehorned in there as well.
That's not okay.
No, I understand this. This is Huffer Park. I'm asking, you are recommending that we don't put it at the next to the little park
Right.
in
Oak
Oak Hills.
In Oak Hills.
Right.
You're recommending we move it to where you could do the half court location. What is that lot?
You know, at
Spruce.
Spruce, there's a little plot of land between Oak Hill and Ridge, and then on the other side of Ridge, there's also those two little plots of
That's where you're recommending.
grass, which
So
at one point, I know at the last meeting, we were thinking of those locations in the attempt to put something back into Oak Hills. But in taking some time and looking at those two plots of ours along Spruce Street, they are very,
Roosevelt.
yeah, Spruce and Roosevelt and Spruce and Ridge.
Right.
They do bump up pretty close to houses. And there is the noise, and there is just basketball kids being basketball kids. So given the luxury of another couple of weeks to think about it, I'm not sure that any of those places in Oak Hills, and I'm looking at you, not that you're recommending them or you even, I'm just saying, I'm not sure those are solutions either. And so next Tuesday is the next Parks meeting. I'm wondering if we could just take another bit of time and sort of talk to HRG and look at other places that we want kids to have basketball courts, that we know, but we don't want to do it at the expense of residents and the new great playground installation at Oak Hill Park. We already know, and maybe Director Wright can, share some information about calls from complaints of language of basketball up against Little Middletown or any other younger kids' playground area.
Are you asking me to?
Mm-hmm.
So right after Little Middletown was put in, we did receive some complaints concerning basketball and some games playing, and we have found various other disruptive behavior that continued throughout the first summer that it was open. This past summer, we didn't have any complaints, but I don't know whether that was because people became more aware of it or not. But when it first opened, we received numerous complaints concerning families being on the playground and basketball and that conflict.
Yeah.
And to your knowledge, how many calls have you or did you have at Oak Hills since you've been here? To your knowledge, an estimate?
I don't think we had concerning basketball and like the previous sport. I don't think we had any.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something on this. We put in the new playground at Oak Hills, and there was already a basketball court there. It's that playground, even before it was new, was a playground with a basketball court for years and years and years. Dan just told you he hasn't had one call at Oak Hills Park with the brand new playground with the basketball court that was in existence. We don't move a basketball court to acquiesce to inappropriate behavior by a child. You address the inappropriate behavior of the child. I was one of the people that called Dan last summer because I myself was at Hofford Park and experienced the kids on the basketball court. I one time didn't even call Dan and addressed it myself as an adult. You don't take a basketball court and move it away. You keep it where the families are and the adults are, because those kids would be less prone to do it if there's supervision. Once I said something to them, it was done. Once the police came down, they didn't know that I called. The police showed up and said something to them. It was done. I haven't heard of any complaints this year. I just think park activities belong in a park. Oak Hills Park has always had the basketball court right there. If there was cursing on that side of Oak Hills Drive, you would have heard it, just as you would have heard it if it's on this side in the park. To move it away is a poor decision.
Any other comments or thoughts? Councilor Lloyd?
Go ahead.
No, all right, thank you. Yeah, I mean, when we started this conversation, I that's all I intended, is just to start the conversation. And so I'm glad we're taking these steps. I mean,
Sorry.
I'm certainly not on board with making a decision tonight, but you know, we have this huge parks study going on with HRG. I think it's important to get this in front of them and kind of hear from their recommendations. You know, I tend to agree with the mayor on this. You know, and this is just because I have little kids and I bring them down there. And when my little kids are down there in Oak Hills, there is that age kid that you're referring to who would be at the basketball court, but they're throwing football back and forth, or they're playing other sports. And there's not an issue, and me and my family are there. So I would think them same kids would be the ones playing basketball. But however, I definitely understand both sides of it.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be just some expert to look at this and give us some further recommendations. But there needs to be some sort of basketball court in that area somewhere.
Councilor Lloyd?
I agree. I don't think moving it out of Oak Hills defeats the purpose of having a basketball court in Oak Hills, which is where it always was for, I don't know, 50 years? I don't even know. I mean, as long as I can remember, it's been there, which is a super long time. My concern is, I agree with, you know, it is a kid's playground, but it's always been a kid's playground. Nothing has changed other than we have new equipment. I don't know that I personally feel if we're paying HRG to give us suggestions when there are only so many locations that it can go into. So why are we paying HRG? You know, I'm not saying we need to make a decision tonight, but I don't know why we have to pay HRG to help us decide where a basketball court should go or a half court when, if you look in the area, there's only a handful of places that really are an option. There's not, you know, it's not like we own all this land in Oak Hills that they're going to tell us where it should go. So.
I would add that the one on Spruce Street, I would feel comfortable we would have to get that lot surveyed and establish that property line. What I have drawn on here is my best guess estimation from aerials, and the court just fits there as it is. So if we decide to go with that location, I would strongly recommend we get that surveyed to ensure we stay on our property. Regarding I understand the points that the mayor brought up. I think a lot of times, I don't have any fish in the fryer. It's obviously a council decision. A silent majority of people will just leave the park. They will take their kids and go home. They will not confront other people. That's just what most people will do. It's obviously a council decision. I would hate to expend the money to build a basketball court and then we don't have quite as many people enjoying the park.
Quick question for you. This is my thought. What do you do if you're a parent, say a single parent with multiple children ranging in age groups, and you want to take them to the park and you have a 10-year-old that wants to play basketball and a 4-year-old that wants to go down the kids slide? You take your kids and then send your 10-year-old off 3 blocks this way to go play basketball.
Or you say we're going to do this right now for Susie, and then we're going to go do that, then.
That's not feasible as a parent. And
No.
number two, why aren't you having this issue that you're describing now? Nothing, to Angie's point, nothing has changed other than you have new equipment. The location of the park didn't change.
It's 50 feet
The-
closer.
50 feet closer. That, I rest my case.
Greg, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm probably a better witness in a lot of this because I've been there 35 years. And yes, it happens constantly where people are confronted with the language. Cops may not be called, but it is constant where people are confronted with the language, especially in the early spring when everybody gets that gusto to go out and play basketball and throughout the summer. Many a times I've had to confront people because I had my little kids outside or my grandson outside, and I got to yell over, watch your mouth. It is constant. And to put it beside there, to me, is a situation that will create people will not, the older people that like to go there and sit and watch the kids and the families, it is going to create issues just like it's creating out at Hoffer Park right now. And it has been. Hoffer Park has, the day they put Kid Castle in there, I remember they were ready to rip out the basketball courts because of this issue. Now we didn't learn from history on this. We're going to put it right inside. And it doesn't matter that it was across the street. When it was across the street, kids were constantly being yelled at by parents. There was always fights there. It does not, my personal opinion, if you put it in there, it's going to change the dynamic of it, and you're going to have, if it's a full court especially, you're going to have a lot of complaints from the neighbors that it's right against their windows now. So I worked the comm center when it was the other side.
Question.
And we were getting calls constantly.
Question for Matt. What's the square footage of a full versus half court? Off the top of your head?
Whatever the dimensions are there. One's 50 by 52, and the other one was, I think it's around, I honestly don't have it in the back of my head.
It's okay. Do you have to do any stormwater management studies for creating or taking away pervious space?
Potentially.
So we'll look at, what stormwater management impact it would have at any location, left or right.
The other photo that I had provided there, this one, that's off the park. The trash can's right there. The trash can doesn't have anything in it, or very little in it. For whatever reason, folks that like playing basketball like to throw their stuff around. So there's
Or leave it.
Yep. And I could also tell you, this was the other issue that was there. You had older kids that didn't allow the younger kids time on the court. So when you have a full court, the older kids took up the court and would not let little kids. It was very rare, to see if there were older kids playing, little kids allowed.
My opinion is whether we went left or right down in Oak Hills, I would only recommend a half court. We have full courts in other locations. I don't know. Just maybe that helps split the baby, so to speak. It gives a place for kids to go, but it also helps to age group to utilize this aspect of it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I don't know how you would enforce that.
you know, it's not
but-
about enforcing it. It's not necessarily an enforcement mechanism. You just you don't provide a full court where an older
Court.
kid wants to go use a full
Mhm.
court. I mean, you could still go there and shoot. Anybody will be able to. You could be 50 years old to go there and shoot hoops.
Mhm.
But if you're looking to really engage in a competitive game, you need a full court.
Right, right. I see what you're saying.
So you
The
would be
other
going to
two-
where the full court is.
The other two spaces, Council Miller and I just went there today and sort of visualized it. It's one thing to see it on paper. It's another thing to see just how close the resident houses would be to either spot on Spruce Street. Either spot on Spruce Street.
I'm not sure that I understand. Is this where you said you take your kids, Oak Hills, or were you talking about?
Yeah,
Hillsborough?
Oak Hills.
This one, Oak Hills?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I don't even know what I just said. But so I've been noticing recently a lot of kids playing football in that area. So I'm just curious what the difference is with kids playing football there or if they're playing basketball there.
Yeah,
What-
that was my yeah.
I was getting ready to bring that up. I noticed that a lot. That's like the only open space left inside that park. And the kids are always playing touch football or.
I think the
you know,
point Miss Lloyd's
whatever.
trying to make is that what, football kids don't curse and only basketball kids do?
No, they're young kids. They're not the older age group. They're the younger kids in that area. And no, I haven't heard them cursing over there. What I'm saying is if you do that, then you're going to push, you know, it could be the same scenario. The mom saying, well, now my young kid has nowhere to play touch football or whatever, you know, with the other kids.
Yeah.
We got to send them off up here. And I'm thinking, I don't think one block makes a difference as far as that goes.
Well, if we're only going to do a half court, then we should just use half of the parking lot that's already macadam over there and put it right there.
Well, that parking lot gets slammed with baseball people parking.
Right. I know that. But
Yeah.
for them to lose 15 or 10 spaces, 10 spaces they would lose for the youth of this town.
I can lay it out. I know when they're paying, I'm sure Greg he lives right there. I know like they park all over the street or when they're
Into the
on.
grass.
Yeah, I live a block away from there, so I mean I drive that way. I see all the
Okay.
cars,
I
but
can lay it out. I just we're pushing a problem around, and I'm not sure we're solving any of them. And I think we have to look at this holistically. Most of the people that had the hoops that got letters had their hoops while the basketball court was there, so they weren't using the court anyway.
Well, I've heard different stuff all night now. I heard that it's really used and all you hear is cursing. I hear people have private basketball hoops and they're not using the court. I also take issue with this picture. Did you personally witness basketball people leaving this trash? Because this back corner of this lot is the midnight hangout that the cops get sent down to all the time in the back corner of Hoffer Park where kids are smoking and doing other random things, and that's the hangout corner. So I don't think it's fair to say that that's just basketball people that did that. I don't think that's a fair representation.
I think
I would,
It's
yeah,
not fair.
it's pretty fair.
That's basketball.
It's not. I don't drink soda when I play basketball.
Well,
No,
you
no
know,
basketball
it's
player
every day.
brings soda to a basketball game.
I don't think you get someone that hangs out back there that's going to make that amount of litter. That,
Okay.
that was all.
Perhaps
I
we're not
was
emptying the trash enough. I don't know. All I'm saying is you have Oak Hills Park, and anybody that moved into there when it pre-existed, you moved in knowing there was a park and a basketball court there. And it has been there for years and years and years, and this has never been a major issue until right now when people want to move the court around. I just asked, or no, Angie just asked the public safety director how many times he's been called to Oak Hills Park for this issue, and the answer was zero.
He's been here
Zero.
1 year,
Zero. He's not been here 1 year.
or however long.
Zero. So, okay, well, take the percentage. I understand. Greg, you live right across the street.
Okay,
It is
okay.
personal and it's clear.
All right.
Okay.
Let's
I don't have a fish in the fryer.
let's get this back
I
under
will say
control.
that this is a very common occurrence at that table. At
Okay.
those courts.
Did you witness basketball people leaving this picture, this trash? Do you
No,
know for a
this is-
fact? That's my question is, do you
Matt
know for a
and
fact?
Jim
It was that,
both.
Okay.
Matt and Jim both.
Then
Let's-
you can't represent that. Don't
good.
give me a piece of paper here that doesn't
This
represent
was
truth.
first thing yesterday morning.
Okay. And do you know that that was basketball or kids that were there late at night last night?
Cameras and see who drove in the park.
I would
On my
appreciate you
phone.
doing that. Let's do that.
I think we have to be realistic here.
Let's do that.
I think we have to be realistic.
Right, and it's not fair to represent that the basketball playing community of Middletown are cursers and litterers. And this is, okay, that's real
what we
professional.
see.
That's real professional.
I'm not saying all of them.
I will do a petition because I see that this council really cares about the voices of the community anyway from the last one. But I'll do a petition and we'll find out exactly where the people want it. So you have my word.
When we were selling Vastines, I was over there getting photos for the listing. And I was outside, and there were kids. I heard bells bouncing at the basketball court. It was still there. I heard a lot of objectionable language. I went out. Those kids were this tall. They weren't 18-year-olds. They weren't 15-year-olds. They were probably 10. We all have a notion of how we raised our own children. The reality is, not everyone raises their children the same way. They broke the benches down here over the weekend.
That don't have
They
benches.
graffitied the
Move the basketball courts from Hoffer Park. We don't change the borough because of behavior of individuals. You address the individual behavior. That is what your police department's for. That's why you don't move a basketball court away from where there could potentially be adult supervision. You're only going to make the problem worse. You're going to compound it by taking them away from where there could be adults.
All right. Are we good with that one?
Yeah.
All right. Just some FYIs there. You can see there was pricing on there for a full court. The staff is continuing to work on Roosevelt. They finished up the pipe work yesterday, so we should be getting that all squared away. Veolia, we're having a meeting there on Thursday to have their kickoff to remobilize. They're going to be doing their street milling and paving on the Veolia project in Oak Hills. They will be posting no parking and street detours as necessary during work hours. UGI will be doing the same type of work to their items.
Do you happen to know where they're going to be in UGI this time?
They're just doing small patches. They're not doing anything major.
Okay.
So they're just doing, there's not going to be any major overlays like they did last time.
All right.
It's all just going to be a patch here, patch there kind of deal.
So they're going to do 2 patches out by my house this week or so.
Yeah, they should fly through those pretty quick.
Okay.
A few meetings back, probably even in the fall, MABA had a representative here and requested to look into lighting at the Med-Ed baseball field. I spoke with a lighting contractor and the airport, and what I received from the lighting contractor was a very rough estimate. It was about $100,000 to put lighting down there.
Okay, I'm just going to stop you right here, right now. I do lights every day of my life. We have electrical department. We have telephone poles. It is in no way, shape, or form costs $100,000 to put lights down there or something like that.
Wooden poles aren't recommended. They go with metal poles just for the safety aspect.
Matt, I'm getting ready to do a lighting project for a defense contractor called BAE that has a test track that they test tanks on, like the real tanks that we send to war, and we are using wooden poles with lights on.
Okay.
So there's no way that baseball field warrants $100,000 lighting project. We have telephone poles, we have crews.
Then I would just recommend that be taken with the electric department.
I would recommend that, yes.
Projects that I'm doing, I'm going to do with what is recommended for safety and longevity.
Hey, these telephone poles that we have out here, they last a while, don't they? Because we use wooden poles all over the place.
I'm just going with what I was told.
Should we start putting concrete and metal poles in for our overhead electrical infrastructure?
I'm not attempting to have an argument again.
Okay. Just wanted to. You made it sound like it wasn't going to last long.
We have the airport constraints to deal with. There's a couple of different things down there that factor into it. But okay,
Well, that is a totally yes, the airport could make a big play because you have light pollution. I mean, a light pollution is a very real thing, and that could come into a play with having an airport so close to it. I totally understand that aspect of it. I $100,000 and is not warranted for that.
For number 6, the Woody Waste Facility, there was an intermunicipal agreement for the Woody Waste Facility that was executed in 2009. Lower Swadera and Royalton are the 2 municipalities that had executed it. They are able to utilize our site. The agreement notes that Middletown is solely responsible for all maintenance and repair costs associated with operating the site. I'm not sure who came up with the agreement. We are allowed to set reasonable fees for usage per the agreement, but none have ever been set. The Woody Waste site costs us a tremendous amount of money.
How much is it costing us to maintain the tub grinder out there?
We have a horizontal grinder, and right now it needs about $90,000 in repairs.
90. Now, how much of this can we do in-house?
It's on the second page.
Yeah,
Some of it can be done in-house, but some of the parts are also, the clutch alone is $30,000 to $35,000.
Really?
Yes, that's the parts for the clutch.
So what are you recommending? We get rid of Woody Waste?
Well, we can't get rid of Woody Waste. We're legally mandated to have
Right.
some form of processing.
But Matt, here it says, reasonable fees had never, we're allowed to set reasonable fees as part of the municipal agreement?
Yeah.
We just did.
Is it time just to do that?
We just redid our fee structure.
This is a whole different matter. This is a separate agreement.
It's for the municipalities, not for individual use.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't know, but so could you just give a brief explanation as to why we're required to have it? 'Cause I never realized that.
We are required based on our density. Once your population hits 10,000 or you reach a certain density per square mile, DEP mandates that you have a woody waste, some format of getting rid of your woody waste.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me understand this. We have Woody Waste. Our residents can, buy a ticket and use it. Other municipalities use our Woody Waste? Like who? Like, I'm not talking other residents, other actual municipalities.
Lower Swadera and Royalton.
Mm-hmm.
Lower Swadera brought dump trucks in 46 times in 2023.
How about Royalton?
6.
So are they collecting their residents' woody waste and bringing it to our woody waste?
They're probably doing that as well as whatever they clean up on
In,
their
like, their
own
parks,
facilities. Yes.
For me, this is an example of, this doesn't make sense, and I don't know that we ever knew of it. That there was
Thank you. I didn't know this.
Can we just break it down? Like, what you're telling us is
This
sort of needs addressed.
What you're telling us is the same thing I've been on about. Middletown is the dumping ground for everybody, whether it be the fire service, the water services, the police services, the Woody Waste services. When are we going to stop the hemorrhaging of the Middletown taxpayers and start holding other people accountable?
Solicitor Diamond, is because it's an intermunicipal agreement, is that something that you would be involved in?
I don't know anything about, haven't heard this even as an issue until tonight. Don't know anything about, where is it located physically?
Lower Swadera Township.
Where is it?
Lower Swadera. out
Okay,
by the
so
turnpike.
who owns it?
We do.
Okay.
But it's on their.
So is the
It's not
issue
owned by
just
the
to
school
sort of?
district?
I'm sorry, Matt. You just said you need to correct something. Where is it located?
Lower Swadera Township.
So-
is where our site is.
Mhm.
It's in there. It's not in the borough of Middletown.
Correct.
Okay, but we own the property.
Yes.
So is it just a matter of revisiting the agreement and setting up a more equitable fee structure from Lower Swadara and Royalton?
What are we charging a dump truck right now?
We don't allow dump trucks to come in.
You just sat here and said 40 some dump trucks came in.
We don't charge them. They're free.
That's the problem.
It's their
That's the problem.
Lower Swadera Township trucks coming in, not their residents, because
Oh,
we have.
charge
Right,
them.
but that's what he's saying is that there's been this
hasn't been-
agreement and we've never charged them as a municipality.
Yeah. Well,
But
okay.
You
So
have
can-
the agreement.
So
And
can
in the
we-
agreement it is, we can set a fee.
Yeah.
I'm reading. So we
Sure.
just
We
never
just set a
chose-
fee. That's not even changing the
We
municipal.
just never chose to set it.
I'm sorry.
All right. I vote tonight. $500 a dump truck.
Well, you got to put on the agenda.
There it is. $500 a dump truck. Let's put on the for next
So,
meeting.
Essentially, we
Let's
could
serve
just
that.
cut it off and it only be Middletown residents
I
and be
would
done
love
with
that.
it.
No,
The best
No way we can
solution
make
here.
money, though.
No, yeah, you got this just drives me nuts sometimes. We have an opportunity to make money. I welcome their dump trucks, $500 a truck.
Yeah.
Matt, you have a $90,000 need and we have to have it. So we need to make money off of it. Okay? We have to have it for our residents because of our density, right? If other people don't pay, it's called other people's money, OPM and OPE. So main rules of business. We have to have it. Our residents are going to pay for it. We have an opportunity to make money off of it. $500 a dump truck, you get 40 of them. Do the math. There's your clutch.
Right now, we don't know anything about only Matt knows what the agreement says
Yeah.
and how it started and whether
I thought I
anybody bought land.
I
Sorry.
kind of
thought I had
remember
included
this. I was on council when this started, and we did not start a feed system back then at all.
Did not.
So
No.
maybe we could
And we
have
purchased
this
the
consider
property.
agreement
We
first.
purchased the property. We purchased at that time. We had a special truck, I think, for it. And am I right, Fudge? We had a special truck for it. My uncle Bob was instrumental in doing that, so it was there was never a fee done. But I don't think back then that Lower Swadera was allowed to bring their waste in, were they? Were they?
Matt, what would be your recommendation?
only have it for our residents.
And that recommendation is, I'm going to be quite honest, because you don't want to do the work. You don't want to receive a dump truck of loads, and you don't have to dispose of it.
You're absolutely correct,
Exactly.
because I have to pay to get rid of it. I have to pay to get rid of it.
How much does it cost you to get rid of it? Give me a number.
I have to process it, and then I have to pay our.
How much does it call you to get rid of it?
I can research it, Ian.
$100, $200?
Whatever it costs for an hourly rate to have someone drive back and forth to Ziegler all day long until it's gone. The grinder burns 25 gallons of diesel fuel an hour. So it's burning a couple $100 worth of diesel fuel an hour. I'm paying someone to stand there.
Then
The
would it
loaders
make
require
sense
fuel.
to
That's what I'm charging.
bring back?
$1,500 a dump truck. $2,000 a dump truck. What's the number?
Would it make sense to come back if there are other municipalities who have like situations of ours and who have a fee schedule? Could we look at what best practice already is and start adopting immediately some kind of fee schedule?
Well, there's
Bless
language in
you.
there. We have to give notice. We have to give at least 6 months notice of termination, or there's another, I think for a fee, I think it was 30 or 60 days. But I can provide all of you the contract, the agreement. I have the agreement.
Why don't we get the agreement over to Solicitor Diamond and have him look at it? I'm not recommending, me personally, I'm not recommending we cut our neighbors off and tell them to good luck. But I am recommending that we are compensated adequately for what we do, because Middletown does do a lot for our neighboring communities. We support our neighboring communities. We should always support our neighbors, but we shouldn't do it for free at the behest of our residents. So I think that's something very important to keep in mind. That's my position. Middletown's a very important role in the community, as you can see.
Yeah, and if we're getting to where we have to negotiate, remember, I represent Lower Sotera Township, so we'll be
Can you
conflicted out.
can you find us a special
No,
counsel?
we would have to bring somebody in, so.
To go along with that, Ziegler is now charging this year. I anticipate that our usage will only increase exponentially because people are not going to be able to take stuff for free down to Ziegler any longer. So we will be revisiting our own fee schedule and our own resident usage for the site as well.
That's the way it
A lot of
goes.
places are $40, $50 for their residents to utilize the site. I'm not saying we go to that, but we are going to have to look at all of the costs. We get the material in and we process it, and then it sits, and then we actually pay to get rid of the material. People don't utilize it. I wouldn't utilize it. Has weeds and pumpkin seeds and plants and everything else in it because of the nature of what we collect. It's a loss leader from the moment we had to set the facility up.
What's our current fee schedule?
Your problem. So here's
$10 for residents,
30 or 50 for non-residents.
50?
Yeah, we did just increase it, if memory serves me correct, what,
For
2 years,
non-residents.
2 years ago, didn't we?
For non-residents.
For non-residents, yeah. We were taking a step in the right direction. Sounds like we need to dive deeper into this. I didn't even know back when we talked, I didn't even know that we offered it to,
Yeah.
I had no
But
idea.
that was, the lack of a fee schedule was good to know.
Another thing that I'll be, as I look into this, I'll be asking council to ponder setting a limit on how many times people can utilize the facility based on their resident card. We have some people who are able to get a resident card because of their address, but they run a business and they come in a lot of times as part of their business plan.
You mean lawn services?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, then bring it, yeah, bring us a fee schedule that we can look at, and if you have a recommendation for limiting the cards, let's go. Yeah.
I did send an email
Yeah.
to Lower Swadero's Public Works Director last week, just mentioning that we would be discussing this, just so that they weren't caught blindsided. I hadn't heard back from the fellow, but they're not mandated to have one yet, I don't believe, but because of their population and their density, but we have to have some form of system.
Yeah, we have to have it. I mean, it is what it is. It's a service that our residents expect us to provide to them. I mean, it is what it is. So we just have to make the best of it.
Okay. I provided information on 3 different TNR programs in your packets there. As you may recall, money was budgeted in the Public Works budget for vouchers. The biggest thing with any of the 3 programs is it all falls on, you have to have dependable volunteers who are able to do the work that is necessary to trap the cat, take the cat there, house the cat when the cat comes home because it just had surgery. Pretty much most of them recommend overnight at a minimum. One of them recommends over 2 days for female cats because it's more intensive surgery. That's just something, the money is there. I think finding the dedicated volunteers and not having the wheels fall off that cart would be a primary duty, to make the program successful. I mean, every cat that's done is a victory, but, so that was, if, talk among yourselves, talk with, people that you may know that take care of the cats throughout town, and, maybe you can kind of gauge what their receptiveness is to committing a fairly significant amount of time per cat to help solve this problem.
Okay.
We
Thank you.
maybe post something like we do for our other, like looking for volunteers for this program, like a resident, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe some of you may know people who do the feeding or whatever now, and that might be a more direct route to. Yeah, I don't know who. I know there's feeding stations around. I don't know who takes care of them. I thought maybe some of you folks may have more of an inside scoop on that.
There's a lady near me that does feeds cats up on Ann Street. Backyard's on, I guess that's Cherry Avenue up there. But she does.
Maybe she'll want to volunteer to do this. Maybe she'll want to volunteer to do this.
No, I feed 2 that roam around my end of the street.
The last thing there was number 8 for me. Many of you, if you've driven on Spruce Street, Hillcrest is another one, or Hillside, excuse me. Some of the streets are getting to the point that they're going to need to be reconstructed. I've attempted to talk with Veolia and try to get them to put Spruce Street on their project list, because it makes us all look bad if we do a project and then 2 or 3 years later they dig it back up.
Right.
However, I can't let the street go too much longer without significant. At this point, it's a rebuild. Most of it is too far gone for patchwork. We will do some patchwork out there, especially in the area where the hill drops down into the park there. There's some pretty rough asphalt there and some mud coming up through the roadway. But
in general, the pavement has lasted its life and it needs to be milled off and completely redone. So, like I said, we'll do some patching there and buy us at least a little bit of time, but we're going to face some significant costs with trying to get some of our streets taken care of.
Are you cold patching now? Are you?
I can't get hot. The plants will open, plants are scheduled to open next week.
I was gonna say, just wait a week or two and you'll be able to get it.
I saw a couple of them out there cold patching the other day.
There's plants in the West Shore open, but with our small dump trucks without heated beds,
That's not gonna make it.
I can't drive 8 tons of asphalt over here and have it be useful. It'll cool off too quick. So I will, throughout the next few months here, I'll pull together some prices. We'll go out and take a look at some of our worst streets, and I'll be pulling together some budgetary numbers, bring back to you folks. We can have a more detailed discussion, see how I want to have all those definitely in time for budget time.
Can I suggest one for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Wood Street.
Between Emall and Nisley, or between Emall and Water.
Between Emall and Water and between Ann and Susquehanna Street.
Okay.
I'm biased, but Hoffer Street's in bad shape.
Yeah.
I'm biased though.
You're right, it is. I ride it.
It's in bad shape.
Yes, yeah, all of Spruce it's pretty bad end to end, at least north of Maine. It's in rough shape. So, they're going to be some big numbers.
Yeah.
So I want to try and get the information to you folks, and then we can decide what direction we can go into try and get these streets back in shape.
I mean, really, if you want my opinion, is there should be some sort of software program that has all our streets in it, when they were done, when Veolia is scheduled to hit them, and have really a street maintenance plan, almost like we have a vehicle maintenance plan where we're going to cycle through this, and it really should live in a database somewhere. Every street, when it was done, what was done, when it needs to be done.
Great information. I'm not sure we have much of the history. I can only kind of.
Well, you got to start somewhere, right?
Right. Yeah. But anyone else has anything for me?
I don't. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Agenda item number 14, police report.
Mr. President, while Dan is coming to the microphone, I do want to note one other thing for the record. The great thing about social media is it's like a diary, and you can go back and find whatever you want through the search tools. If you search for problems at Hoffer Park or Oak Hills Park, these are the results you get. There are numerous results for cursing at Hoffer Park. In fact, I was tagged in some of them. If I try to search Oak Hills basketball, the only thing I'll stand corrected on is that the police were up there, and the posts are about the officers playing basketball with the children at Oak Hills Park.
You're not going to own that one?
Can you jump high enough?
I'll leave that one alone. Okay, I don't have a lot today. I'll make it quick.
Thank you.
So currently our 3 cadets are still doing well at the academy. I don't know if I reported, but one of them's vice president of the academy class, so that's good.
It's good news.
Fitting in well. We had another PTS grant the last weekend. There was a roving patrol countywide for St. Patrick's Day. I think it actually made Channel 8 news. There was a big press on about it. We participated in that. I apologize because I forgot to report this to us. We had an arrest in that Hoffer Park graffiti case from 2023 where the mural was painted over.
Oh,
it happened a day or two after a meeting. And by the time the next meeting came around, I forgot to let you know. But we arrested a male from Middletown, an adult. We charged him with institutional vandalism and criminal mischief for damaging the mural.
Good.
He's gone through his preliminary hearing, and they are going to provide him community service because he's an adult and it's in the adult probation area. We can't necessarily pick what his community service is. So if it was community service mandated by Judge Judy, we would have some input. Because it's through the probation services, we don't. So
Like I said, I apologize for not getting that to us on a timely manner. Dauphin County participated in a tabletop exercise with Dauphin County DES for flash flooding. Police, Public Works, and Middletown EMA attended. It's again just keeping training for hoping those events don't happen, but making sure we're trained for when they do. I included. I don't know if it got to you at all. The trailer parking update, was that disseminated? I know you had asked me last time to potentially throw some ideas on paper concerning parking of trailers in the borough. There's some data on local municipalities who actually have limitations. The ones I couldn't find anything on, I didn't include. Specifically on Market Street, the boat you gave me will be gone on Friday or towed on Friday, and there's two of those scrap trailers. The owner called in today and spoke with me, and he's going to have those moved by Friday or they're towed also.
Okay.
That doesn't solve our overall problem, but it remediates most of the Market Street issue. So if any comments or questions on that, I'll certainly talk about those.
Those two scrap trailers you referenced, were those the ones that we were originally talking about?
There's two of them that are actually have stake body sides built onto the sides that have scrap of all sorts. And then one has a plate on it, which is expired, and one has no VIN plate, no license plate. That one was the most recent one we tagged. That owner actually called it and identified himself as the owner, which is good, because otherwise we can conjecture who it is. We can talk to some neighbors and figure out who it is, but he actually called it and identified himself as who they are. One's in the last space on angle parking, and one's the last space right before the stop sign on the actual street parking. There's still a boat that's covered and looks like not very good, and there's still some other vehicles that aren't very attractive. However, they're registered and legal to be parked there.
Is that fire truck still down there?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was still down there.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate your time.
Any other questions? I won't go far. I might be needed for the comment area.
Thank you. Agenda item number 15, joint venture, Viola. Looks like they're not with us tonight. Agenda item number 16, council mayor. Does anybody have any insight, feedback, Councilor Lloyd?
I do. So a few weeks ago, well, in between our meetings, I guess, I had a resident reach out to me. They are inquiring about their parents both passed away recently, and their parents love to go walk at the reservoir. So their family wanted to do something. So they were wondering if if the borough could buy a bench that they would actually pay for. So the borough would procure it for them. They would pay for it. They would pay for the installation, whatever it costs. And they wanted to just have like a little nameplate, like in memory of their parents, because that was something that their parents always liked to do out at the reservoir. And they're not really particular where it goes. I mean, I think they'd like to, maybe go out with somebody, public mat, and find a place to put it. And they're willing, like I said, to pay for all of it. They just kind of wanted, that's where their parents like to go.
Yeah, I love it.
So,
great idea.
Do we have an issue with that? So
Not a legal issue, no. A lot of other municipalities have that very concept. People
I mean, then it made me think,
donate
maybe that's something
benches.
we should do. Like if we need benches in parks, maybe we should
I
see if
agree.
people want to sponsor them and buy benches and, dedicate.
Yeah, Middlesex has a big park actually running that one, and they have beautiful trail going all over, and that there are benches, and they have little signs, and we'll have like sometimes little, cement pets and things like that, and in memory of and all that kind of, there are flowers and stuff. People come and decorate them.
I don't know about all that.
I'm just saying that, but it's certainly and they obviously did more of a outreach when they were building that park, soliciting, who wants to do it. But
Yeah, I think before we go off the deep end and do some big project,
Well, yeah,
I think
so
this is a good feeler.
Specific.
I think this is a good feeler for the body and staff to get their head wrapped around this and what does it look like and what are some of the logistics. We'll do one, kind of
Yeah.
map it out, and then it would like really prepare us to maybe do something that when we do our park project, we can say, hey, we need 10 benches.
Yeah.
This is where they're going to be. We already have, hey, we need 10. We can only accept 10. Staff knows where they're going. First come, first serve. We could do some sort of grander program, but I think this is a great way to get our feet wet with doing one, and I'm in favor of it, and I would support it.
We actually discussed this at the supervisors meeting.
Yes, because I did talk to Ken about it.
Yeah, so I think there are some logistics that would need to be discussed, like, are we gonna pick the bench?
That's what I was gonna say.
And
You should,
things like that,
Well,
'cause
yes.
You wanna have uniformity.
Yes.
Absolutely,
things
yes.
like
Yes.
that.
So they have an idea of what they would like, but they're open to whatever, and they understand that, the borough would have to order it, pick it, and then they would pay for it, and they're, open to that.
Yeah, the park I was saying, they are the same kinds of
Right.
benches. They're not. No,
Yeah.
They're what you would think of, like, they're almost like the cement sides with the, composite wood.
Right.
because you could do the
feedback.
historic green thing
Solid.
with wood and a plaque.
Yeah, I
Really
think
class it up.
Well, I think there are some already out at the reservoir, so I don't know if they'd want to keep it.
Uniform. right?
well, how many are already out there?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they're probably, God knows the condition of
Right.
those. Maybe
Replace one and then move on to the next.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's a great idea. I say we maybe get some of their information. Let staff maybe start looking at a couple.
I have all their information, but when I talked to Ken, the first step was making sure that nobody here had an issue with it, and obviously, if it was something that we
No, I
could
don't-
do.
I
But
don't.
do
Does
think-
anybody have objections?
And part of a bigger conversation down the road is maybe that is something we should look at, because I think it's a really great idea,
It's
especially
a really great
like
idea.
in their case, their parents, they're born and raised, I think 4 or 5 kids. I can't remember. Parents were residents here forever, and it's just a way for them to kind of leave their mark
Yeah,
in the community, and I think it's a really nice
Yeah.
gesture.
I do too. I love it. Any council, mayor, anybody else have anything?
I just think they all should match.
I do. I
agree. Yeah.
And I think, probably Matt would wanna be involved in.
Yeah, I'll get with him. Okay.
Maybe that's another time. I was gonna say the cemetery lacks benches. Might be a neat way to couple with them.
The cemetery?
Mhm.
Which one?
Well, I was talking about the Union and Spring Street Cemetery.
Okay.
There's really nothing throughout them.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? All right. At this time, do I have general public comment?
Hello, everyone in council. I'm Lori Shafe, and I live at 101 West Main Street. My house faces Main, the front of my house, but my front door is on Spring Street, and I can't thank you enough. I don't know who was behind it for this speed bump on Spring Street, and I certainly hope we have more coming in the future because I think it's really helped. But I'm concerned. There was a fire a few weeks ago at 53 West Main Street, and that is my house, Spring Street, the Enos house at 60 West Spring, and then the house. And I understand it's a halfway house. I have nothing against anyone who deserves a second chance. Is trying to get on their feet. But there's a lot of, fights, a lot of drug activity, and now it appears that the house has been condemned, and I don't know this for sure, but it appears that somebody's going in there. And I know during the day you've probably got workers in there, but I see the same cars that are parked there. I don't know that the people just don't have a place to go and they're going there for refuge during the day. But there is concern, and other neighbors have voiced their concern. I offered to come and bring it up at council, okay? And you have children and you have elderly women who live there alone, so, on our street. And so a halfway house there with, you don't know the people, they're in and out all the time. There is concern, and rightfully so. Also, I don't know who to go to about this, but council, permit parking. you know, we have a problem. There's a lot of apartment buildings that are beautifully renovated now, and they're supposed to have parking, and the people are parking on the street. The people don't know about the emergency, you know, declaration by the mayor. They got to get off the street or they get their car towed. They've had their car towed. They're taking up other spaces. We've got people from the Amtrak, the airport, the, the Main Street Gym parking. And I thought, you know, if we could get some permit parking like they did years ago on Wharton, I think it would really, really help us up there. But anyway, I love the Woody Waste. I would be absolutely willing to pay more money than I do pay. But also the beautiful blue winter flags are still up in the borough. And I thought spring was here. 2 days ago anyway.
Today.
11 o'clock tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Yes,
I know.
tonight or?
Was it tonight or midnight?
Anyway,
I thought it was today, but.
I don't know if I have enough time to say that because of the tenants moving in and out of these buildings, I think it would be wonderful if there was some kind of way we could get the landlords, like they do like in hotels, if you shut your hotel door, there's an emergency route there and it gives you all this pertinent information and it's behind a piece of plexiglass.
Right.
If we could have the landlords do that in a cabinet in the kitchen, that it would remain there so that these people know that when it snows, you better get your car off the road on Main Street. I think it would really help a lot of our new residents because these people were from Florida. They had no idea. Their car was towed and they had to pay hundreds of dollars to get it out. And I thought, you know, there's got to be a way, either on the electric bill, something to remind people. And of course, you can't do that because the mayor's not going to know when he's got to declare an emergency. But we need to do something to help. If over 66% of our properties are rentals, there's got to be something we can do, you know, to put the word out there. But anyway, thank you all very much.
I have a question, I'm
Yes.
sorry. So back to what you said about Amtrak, have you noticed since the new station opened, like an influx of, I don't want to say strange cars, but you know who your neighbors, what cars your neighbors have. Have you noticed what seems to be people parking in the area and then walking over
Yep,
because they don't want to pay to park?
Yeah, okay, so I don't know anything about cars or how much they are, but I know from my husband telling me there was a $200,000 Mercedes-Benz in front of my house, okay? And this guy took out his luggage and walked down to the Amtrak.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Yeah, they do
I
that.
know it happens, all right? Do I like to pay parking? Nobody does, but if you can afford a trip, you can afford to pay for parking. And what that does is, we have a parking problem as it is. It takes away parking from people that live there year round. So, I mean,
Well,
gotta do something.
they do that out at Grant Street where they park at the top of the hill and then catch a cab or an Uber or something and go into the airport.
Yep.
Did we have this, did you bring this up before? Because I'm having a really strange feeling
Yeah.
of deja vu that we had this
Yeah.
discussion about it and
Yep.
that was before the new
This is
station
years
was
ago.
planned, right?
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Because we had a problem with airports, the people parking in front of our house, and they were there for weeks on end.
Mhm.
The longest was like 3 weeks, and I'm thinking, what's going on? So I happened to be there when somebody was there loading, and I said, hey, did you have a nice trip? You know, did you fly out of HIA? Yeah, they did. And it's like, that's not our responsibility as a borough to provide free parking for travelers, okay? Even though it's public parking. I think there's boundaries, and I think we need to draw those boundary lines.
Right.
And I don't know if any of you live down near Wharton where the public, no, it's, what is it, permit parking? So that's, I mean, I don't know how that works, but we have to do something. We really do. And we're parking, I know that there's no lines on the street for parking. We're taking up really 2 parking spaces with our truck. And I'll tell you why. It looks very selfish, but we've got this big old bus that comes around every 30 minutes, sometimes every 15 minutes, and they're going to hit us. So we don't park all the way up to the yellow. We park back. And it's because we want to save our vehicle. You know, our fence gets hit. It takes a year to get it replaced. Okay. It doesn't cost us anything because the insurance of the person that hit it has covered it the last 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I can't imagine our car getting hit and then, you know, when you go to sell it, you've got an
So that-
accident, you see? So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Thanks so much.
Other general public comment?
Hello, Dave Scully again. I live on Guantanamo Street.
Guantanamo Street?
Yeah, Guantanamo Street. Torture. Isn't that the place where they torture people with sleep deprivation?
I'm sorry, is this, where
No,
do
it's
you
not
live?
a joke. I'm trying to make a point. It's very, very serious, very, very serious noise ordinance. First thing, if I may, and I didn't mean to interrupt, were you going to say something?
No, I would, please take
You're
your correct
interrupting
name
me
and
'cause
correct
I thought
address.
I thought I was joking, but I'm trying to make a point, sir. It is really bad. It is sleep deprivation, and it's noise torture. That's how bad it is. And I'm very disappointed that Carol, who came here and took 2 hours off of work to come here, had to go. But she's an adult and she's got that to do. She did say that she wants the council members to have her phone number, because what we want to, I've made sort of a list here of what the hell I'm going to talk about. And really, the number one thing is, I'm glad I'm talking to the whole council, because we got a lot of people here, a lot of brains, a lot of heart, a lot of intelligence. I've often been directed to talk to this person or to that person. No good. I've had a policeman come over when I had somebody go on top of my roof and destroy a Christmas decoration and break it and throw it off the roof. And the gist of it was, to get to the point, this happened to be actually on January 6, 2021, the infamous day. That's just a coincidence, the infamous day. He said to me, "I think you're the problem." Yeah, so I'd rather talk to council and talk to any one of you about what happened. And we'll see if I was the problem, that somebody went onto my roof and tore up that beautiful decoration that I made and ripped it off and threw it on the ground.
Mr. Scully, did you file a police report?
That was a policeman that I was speaking to.
Mr. Scully, did you follow a police report? Did you file a police report?
I thought that is filing a police report, when you call a policeman and they come and you talk to them.
Okay.
Mr. Scully, may I just point out, and just as a gentle reminder, that general public comment has a 4-minute.
I know. That's why I'm trying to talk so fast. I've been very calm, but now I'm thinking I'm trying to talk fast and get this over with. Let me give you Carol's number. Whoever wants to write it down.
I would just recommend if you could give it to us privately.
You got it.
This is recorded, and I would hate to have her,
You got it. Good
her
point.
information.
Good point. Okay, we got a serious problem. Oh, and I've asked, and I think I just got it clarified, that there is no time limit.
There's a 4-minute time limit.
No, I mean, there are no time. There's no 10 p.m. curfew for noise. In other words, at no time should the noise be disturbing. At all times, this is what should be complied with. So, in other words, we had that issue where we've had a few nights here that have really been big, and I'm so sorry you didn't hear from Carol, and because she was mad on Saturday night. Her and this is Yi. These are two very stable people. I've had Yi with me for 10 years. I don't want him to be shy. I want him to come up, and he wants to. I'm not dragging them here, but he is a shy person. His English isn't that good. If you have any problems understanding him, do not hesitate to have me ask him and say it again, and to have me say it to you, because I've talked to him over the years. 10 years, he's been a good tenant. For him to come here, not willing, eager to tell you how bad it was Saturday night. And that was no joke. When I said Guantanamo, torture, sleep deprivation, noise torture, that's exactly what it was. And that's exactly what it is. It's really that bad. I have a short amount of time. I have more things to talk about, but I want to really emphasize that this is a very serious problem. It's really bad. we've had Daly there, and he had music and bar, and he was there for 10 years or so, and then we had the Indian restaurant, Carrara's. These people came over on, the first I heard it, I think they were opening up that weekend of, Veterans Day weekend. I don't know how to say it more with more emphasis without you people like saying calm down. So there's a lot of things I want to say here. So I guess I don't even know how much time is running by.
I'm
I'll
watching.
give you my number, 915-228-8032. I don't care who hears it. It's unrecorded. It's my number. I give it away. 915. I have several. That's another story. But 915-228-8032. 915.
Thank you.
8032. Dave Scully. If you're happy to talk to any of you about any issues that you want to, anything.
Thank you, Mr. Scully. Your 4 minutes
This is really something that
we
I guess I'm going to
Can I clarify?
talk to the policeman about it.
He has a noise complaint concerning the Carrara bar. That's
Dan,
what
do you mind coming to the mic?
That's what he's talking about. There's been a change of ownership. And just this weekend was the first time we've been called there for a noise complaint since I've been here.
So a couple words of advice to Mr. Scully. If you have additional complaints in the future, part of the issues we have is if we come to the location and we don't hear an outside such noise that it's a violation of the ordinance, I need somebody to testify. So next time you call in a noise complaint, officer, I want to testify on a noise complaint. I want to be the victim here, because if your building's adjacent to the building, correct?
Common wall, yes.
Yeah, it's a common wall. And for several years, it's been a sleepy bar, occasionally some noise, occasionally a loud crowd. But now they have music and they're attracting a party crowd. So there probably is some validity to the fact that that common wall is now bleeding over into his building.
Mm-hmm.
So next time you call in a noise complaint, and I will make sure the department is aware of this, you can be a victim and we can file a charge, but you will have to testify. Okay, you or your tenants will have to testify to what you're hearing inside your building. Because when I'm standing out front and I hear a low rumble, I'm not necessarily in a position to
It's
be
not
the
that noisy
complainant.
once I step outside my door.
That's correct. If I'm standing at the square right out here and somebody's driving by screaming at the top of their lungs during a council meeting, and I was there to witness that personally, okay, I could take it upon myself to charge that person without somebody coming and saying, I heard that, I'm a victim. In this particular case, the noise is inside his residence, okay? The noise is inside this fine gentleman's residence too. So I will instruct the department based on complaints from your guys, but you have to stand up in court one day and say, I swear to tell the truth.
That's
and,
not a problem. I misunderstood
and testify. If their doors were open and my guys are coming down the street half a mile away and they hear that thing cranking, we can handle it without you.
It's a unique situation. And can I have 30 more seconds?
No, we the point was made. We're now well aware of the
Gave you my
situation.
business card?
Yeah.
Any other
Well, I'd like
additional
to talk
complaints?
to you and to them more. But
Next meeting.
you next. You got 4 minutes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You said there's a common wall.
Yes.
When the police go to investigate, do they go in the residence or do they just stand outside?
I invited that policeman in, but
They can do both, but again, they don't live there, okay? So I require, and again, we've all lived next to noisy people, whether when we were younger or in college or even now, okay?
Right.
And tolerance levels are different.
Right.
So if it's inside a residence, we require the resident or somebody who lives there to testify. If it's a public event, the police can be that person and testify on our own to the unreasonableness of it.
Okay.
So
it acts like a drum. It's the acoustics of it. I'm not an
I get it.
expert, but.
I get it.
No, okay.
And there are mitigating things we can do, and I've been talking to them. But anyway,
Yeah,
I've used up my minutes, but I just
that's
want to let
okay.
you know,
And
we
so
can
are
talk
we.
about everything, the acoustics of it, the processes, all that.
No, we appreciate you bringing this to our attention.
Yeah.
It sounds like our public safety director has a handle and he has a remedy for how we take this in the future.
That's good.
But
Sounds like,
again, these types of establishments aren't always that easy to deal with, so we might be talking about this in the future for other issues.
Yep.
Bars like this, sometimes the crowds outside cause a problem with other neighbors, or there's additional events. There's lots of things that come around with this. We are engaging other agencies to try to address this issue if you've been hearing things from other people in the borough.
that's great. It sounds like, it sounds like you're proactive on it.
And if you're
has
hearing
a
other things in the borough,
sound
people are saying, oh, I heard this about this, or I heard this about this, have them call me, please.
So that's something, it sounds like the PSP could be brought in on it.
I was gonna say, the
They have a
LCB,
nuisance bar program. In Lebanon, we shut down a couple bars that were nuisance bars, but again, you can issue all the citations and charge you want, but that place still stays open throughout that process.
Right.
So until, it's very difficult to take a license from a licensee.
I can imagine.
It's a business, and they make it difficult on purpose, because it's a business. But we will do our best to address it as long as Mr. Scully communicates with the police department or with us. And if things don't go as quickly as he expects them to, he can certainly come back and address council about it. But we'll do our best to take care of it. And again, if you hear any things about what's happening inside, because I've heard some things too, please direct them to me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think this was educational for everybody. Any other general public comment? Please step forward, state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Yi. I live in 11 Mile Street. Yeah, first I apologize. My English is not good enough. I'm trying to understand.
No apology needed.
Yeah. Right now we got the problem. The situation is the next door restaurant. They work the hour. It's over midnight until to 2 o'clock early morning. And the low bass, boom, 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 boom. We can't sleep. Before the owner, I live here about 14 years. We never have this problem.
Right.
Yeah, the daughter owns this restaurant. We don't have problem. Years ago, Indian person, he owns this restaurant. We don't have this problem because they also have a party like a birthday party, weekend, holiday. They only close by 10 or 11 o'clock. No more over midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, even 3 o'clock. The people screaming and talking loud on the street. And the lady, the Carol, she has 2 jobs. He only every day only sleep like 4 or 5 hours, and only get a weekend off. Then he get home, he can't sleep just because of the music, boom, 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 like this. So that's our problem right now. Okay.
Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention, and we were definitely aware of it now. Any other general public comment? Mr. Still? Mr. Still?
Chuck Still, Middletown. PBS has 2 shows, one called Saturday Morning and another one called Sunday Morning, and they show short clips. Well, last Saturday, this is the clip, one of the clips they showed, and the people were using a residential swimming pool for skating board park. Maybe you could adapt your park, or not your park. Maybe you could adapt your pool to a park.
Skateboard park.
The only one problem I see is this is a bowl style pool, and ours is square walls.
Correct, but ours is a lot longer. I don't know. Maybe you could adapt it somehow.
This is it's called a bowl style pool.
Right.
Or ours is a.
Yeah.
We
I don't know how much skating you could do in it.
Well,
without renovating.
well, correct. You'd have to retrofit, but,
It is a neat concept, though.
Mm-hmm.
that pool's a lot larger than what this is too, I believe, down there too. But I just thought it was neat, so I thought I'd give it to you.
Thank you.
No, thank you
Thank
for
you,
the
Jack.
insight.
Thank you.
We thought about putting in a skateboard park before.
About 3-4 years ago, we talked
No,
about
even
it.
further back than that. Your husband
Mm-hmm.
was one of the people that
I remember Officer Bloom was in here not that long ago talking about a skate park.
no, this was back in the early 2000s. We were trying to put a skateboard park in. Didn't go anywhere, but
Any other general public comment?
I was going to say, but I'll let you guys get out of here later. I'll do it another time.
Well, you're always welcome. We're here to serve, so you're not holding us up. Seeing no other general public comment, do I have a motion to adjourn? We will be attending executive session, will not be returning.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned, everyone. Thank you very much. I have no idea.
Do you need something for executive session?
I thought you needed something for executive